Hi guys, long time no see, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute. I mean, to be honest, it's been more than a minute. Also, I do feel a little awkward. I am outside. You know, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, that's kind of nothing new to me. I've always kind of filmed in awkward places, or at least that was my roots. Filming in the front of my parents' house, a little bit awkward. But my neighbors are pretty close by. Then again, you probably didn't need to know all this. I can stop eating my hair, talk a little quietly. I've got this fancy mic. It's very exciting. But hi, guys. So focus, Nikki. It has been a minute, like I said. Longer than a minute. It has been approximately 6 months. And that is actually crazy to me because I have been making YouTube videos now for 14 years. And in the 14 years I've been on here, the longest break I have ever taken was actually right after I went through my cancellation. I stepped away from the internet for about 4 months, and that felt like forever. I had never taken a break that long. And then now I am coming back to you 6 months later after taking a break that was completely unannounced and in a lot of ways unforeseen. And so today I want to talk to you guys about where I've been, what's been going on, what I've been up to, and what I plan on doing here on YouTube moving forward, because I do have some plans, some exciting works on the horizon that I'm really hoping can pan out how I'd like it to pan out. So right off the top, the first reason that I took a break here on YouTube is honestly just, it was a gut instinct. I actually just felt like I needed to pause. Like it was a very clear, I felt like I was being led to take a pause and like I just needed to do that. And I've never had it be so clear, like I said, my entire time on YouTube, as it was 6 months ago. Like I just felt like this is what I need to do. I need to step away. Now, mixed with that, there were a lot of other things kind of holding hands with that. Obviously, you guys know I am now a mom of 2. And in the very beginning, when you have a newborn, you know, you're in like the fresh postpartum phase, which is tiring and hard and exhausting for its own set of reasons. But after you kind of get going out of the fresh newborn phase, then it kind of turns into like, okay, well, what does life look like now with 2 kids? And granted, I kind of feel dumb saying that because I know I've heard this from so many moms. I've experienced it just with one child, with Logan, that kids change constantly. So this whole idea of like getting used to what you have going now, I know is like not legit and doesn't stay the same and things are always changing. But I felt like I just really needed to focus on being a mom. I felt very overwhelmed and very like all of a sudden, and what's crazy is, you guys know, like 14 years into YouTube, creating, connecting with you guys is a top like passion of mine in life. It's something that I care about so much. And suddenly I felt like I honestly just didn't care. Like I cared, and it upset me because I cared, but it got pushed so far on the back burner because I felt like so distinctly I needed to take a break. I needed to focus on my babies. I needed to just do it. Like even if I didn't have a clear timeline, I didn't have a clear idea of why, being a mom is one of my top priorities in life. You know, my real life relationships, my relationship with my husband, my family, my kids, friends, all of that, those are top priorities in my life. But being a mom is definitely near the top of the list. And because my babies are still so little, it feels especially like a very delicate time. And I mean, you guys know, I didn't even think I was gonna, I mean, it's kind of different. I always assumed I was going to have a family, but I didn't think I was gonna have biological kids for a large part of my life. And even though I always thought I would have a family, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't spend a whole lot of time in my young adult life really thinking about or preparing for a family. I would say that most of my preparation for having a family actually happened when I was growing up, when I was younger, when I would help my mom grocery shop, when I was, you know, playing with my siblings, when I would play pretend like I was homeschooling my kids. But once I actually became a young adult and my working life kind of really started taking off, because also, you may not know this about me, but I have been working since I was 14 years old. Like I was homeschooled from 6th grade on. And when I hit junior high, I remember my mom said to me one day, like, it's time for you to start working. And I was like, what am I gonna do to work? And she's like, I don't know, go upstairs, brainstorm, figure it out, come back and tell me what you think. And so I literally went upstairs and I thought, what could I do? And at that time, I spent a large chunk of my life dancing. And at that time, I decided, well, I could teach little kids dance. And so fast forward, leaving out a lot of details, I did. I actually ran a dance business out of my parents' house for over 5 years, teaching dance to homeschoolers. And so I started working very young, but when I was a young teenager, it was still more focused around like family. I was still helping take care of my siblings and driving them places. And like I said, grocery shopping for the whole family because I just liked it. And so that became like my task, maybe not 100%, but I did a lot of the family grocery shopping in my teenage years. And then when I became a young adult, like I said, I got married, I started YouTube. Well, actually, whatever. Do you guys need all these details? I worked for a couple theme parks, traveled the world, went to Singapore, then started YouTube. And here we are 14 years later. And so becoming a mom in general has been a learning process. I think it's a learning process for everyone, but I think some women maybe go into motherhood a little more prepared than others. And in some ways I didn't feel that prepared. And so upgrading, or not upgrading, leveling up, going to the next level of having 2 children has been a little bit of an adjustment. And so that's the first thing. I just felt like that was what I was supposed to do. Like I was supposed to take a break on YouTube. Now, hand in hand with that, I did, like I said, just felt like, dude, I'm supposed to take a break. But I didn't fully take a break in the sense that like I actually have been working on a huge project and I was working on it the whole time I was off YouTube. There's just a really big difference as a content creator between like filming and capturing stuff versus editing it, getting it packaged, uploaded, putting it out, engaging with people, all of that jazz. There's a big difference there. But I was still creating content the whole time and working on a massive project that I have wanted to do for years, like for a very long time. How do I even announce this? I feel like I'm nervous to even say it. If you've been following me on Instagram, because I have kind of dropped hints and given little previews over on Instagram. But basically, I shot a 10-episode podcast series. I did 10 interviews with 10 different people that I really just wanted to have conversations with, that I felt led to have conversations with. I'm excited. I'm nervous. These conversations run the gamut. They are all over the map. Everything from, I interviewed one of my best friends who's the oldest of 11 children. We talked about large family dynamics and honestly what I feel like is this maybe sounds a little aggressive, but like a target on the back of large families here in the States. I feel like large families have become so villainized in the West. And so we talked a lot about that, what that looked like growing up in a large family. I talked to someone who was actually at January 6th. He's a historian and a podcaster, commentates on social stuff, like social commentary stuff going on politically, news-wise in the world. That was a fascinating conversation. I talked to a friend who is a radio show host, a political radio show host. He actually was one of only 2 people that used to sub in for Rush Limbaugh. So this is like his thing, is the political sphere. He was the head of the Republican National Convention, social media for a bit. I spoke to a friend who used to be a labor and delivery nurse at a very large HMO who now is actually in a lawsuit with that HMO because she honored informed consent basically for a mother giving birth and ended up losing her job because of it. So we talked about birth in and out of the hospital. She's actually a home birth, free birth advocate now. I spoke to a woman who has been working in a hospital for almost 20 years and she herself is a anti-jabber. She is a home birth advocate, just a really interesting person. I guess I don't need to list my whole list of people, but I have had the most fascinating conversations and I don't know how they're going to go, how they're going to be received. I thought they were, like I said, fascinating conversations, but I hope that you guys like them. Regardless though, I watched a documentary on the guy that actually created I think it's called American Christian Family Radio. I watched his documentary maybe 4 to 6 months ago, probably around the time that I took the break from YouTube, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. And one of the things that he talked about when he launched his radio station, he actually started buying up radio stations across the US. His story is actually incredible. He was saying that success, how something does, is not our responsibility. Wow, I just banged my hands together really hard. Our responsibility is to follow what we feel like God is telling us to do. And that's pretty much it. So we work hard, we do what we're feeling called to do, and that's the situation I feel like with this interview series. I feel like these conversations are really awesome, important conversations that I'm hoping will be topics that you are interested in, or topics that you didn't know you cared about yet, but maybe I can help you kind of see these topics and see why they're important. But yeah, just so many conversations coming up that I'm so excited to share with you guys. I thought that I was going to be starting an entirely new podcast. I'm not. I'm going to keep my podcast called Tea Talk. And the reason I thought I was going to start an entirely new podcast, there were a couple of reasons. One of those reasons being that, like, okay, I'm starting this whole new series. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, I've always done interview series. Like, even though I've just put my audio to my like long chatty videos, I've put a lot of interviews up there as well. And then the second reason, and this is where I'm going to ask for your help, if you feel like it, if you have the time, if you want to help me out. But the second reason is because when I went through my cancellation, I always feel like I have to put quotes around it. I don't know, I just do. When I went through that, one of the things that happened is I got like mob hated. So the mob essentially came to my podcast feed and left a ton of horrible reviews. Like, they were not real reviews. They weren't listening to the podcast. They were just commentating on the decisions that we had made and why they hated us. And so because of that, my podcast reviews went from like a 4.9 down to like 2 point something. And the way that the podcast algorithm works is it is highly dependent on reviews. And so we had kind of tried to refute these reviews because the internet has changed so much over the last few years that now a lot of times these tech companies will actually not let reviews be put in like mob mode like that, positive or negative. If a business, like on Yelp, for example, gets a huge wave of negative reviews or a huge wave of positive reviews, they tend to decline those reviews because they don't see them as actual reviews. They see them as part of like a political, social movement, and it's not really a review. So we actually tried to protest these reviews, got a few of them removed, and then our Apple podcast person just like dipped and dropped off the face of the planet. So I was like, all right, that's it. I'm starting a new podcast. But after sitting on it for a minute, and really my mom was the one that kind of like put this thought in my head. She told me one day, she's like, dude, have you read your podcast reviews, like beyond the negative ones? And I was like, not in a minute, maybe like a little bit. And she was like, Nikki, they're so beautiful. And I went back and I started reading some of the reviews, and they just made my heart explode. It made me so happy to see how those interviews have encouraged some of you guys. And so because of that, this is very long-winded, but everything I do I feel like is long-winded. I have decided to keep the podcast on like my Tea Talk podcast page. So if you feel so inclined, if you would like to go leave a positive review on my podcast, or you can wait till I start putting up these new interviews, whatever's chill, I would really appreciate it. It would really help my podcast page. And yeah, so that is very exciting. That being said, I found out that like a chunk of you guys actually aren't anywhere else online. I thought that like the majority of you were over on like Instagram at least. And I have found out in the last year or so that that's not really true. So those of you that aren't over there, I haven't completely disappeared. I have been pretty active still on Instagram. I'm not on there like all the time, but I'm pretty active. That's kind of the other thing I've been up to. I work with a couple of brands that I really love over on Instagram kind of regularly, particularly Honeyark, which I will give them a little bit of a shout out right now. We'll call them the sponsor of this video before I move forward and tell you what my plans are, what the schedule is going to tentatively be for the channel. I'll explain. But Honeyark, to those of you that don't know, makes the most beautiful, like modest, I keep doing quotes with my fingers. You guys just ride with me on the finger quotes, modest swimwear. Oh, some dogs are freaking out in the background. Maybe I'll take this chance to take a sip of tea. By the way, I did pick up tea this morning, which is not like my go-to routine anymore. I tend to make all of my tea at home, but this morning I really wanted to take a drive, so I went to a local place called Tare or Tara, not sure how they pronounce it, and I get their ginger peach iced tea with no sweetener. There's no caffeine in it, which sometimes I appreciate. Sometimes I don't. Today I wish I had a little caffeine, but it's fine. Anyways, Honeyark, beautiful modest swimwear. I've been obsessed with their swimsuits for the last couple of years now. Not only are they so cute, but they fit so well. The top is so supportive. It's breastfeeding friendly if you're still in that stage of life. Really my favorite, and the reason why I got into modest swimwear in the first place, is because it covers my butt. I have been self-conscious of my butt thigh area ever since I had my hip surgery when I was 16, and I think these bathing suits cover it gorgeously, and I can run around, chase after my kids, squat, jump, go to church camp, whatever. They're absolutely incredible. I actually, if you want to see all of them, I filmed a Honeyark swimsuit haul that will be coming up on my channel soon. Like I said, we're going to talk about this. But yeah, if you want to check them out, they sell clothing too, which is also really beautiful, like basics and stuff like that. But my obsession really is with their swimwear. So I have a code Nikki10 for 10% off of your order. And if you use my code, thank you so much in advance. I really appreciate it. And yeah, so I've been working with them over on Instagram as well. So that's the thing. It's like stepping away from YouTube. I didn't step away from the internet entirely. I was still working on Instagram. I also work with a company called the Tuttle Twins. They make really incredible, it doesn't have to be homeschool curriculum. It's like a book series on really, I guess you could say, like libertarianism, the free market. They actually have a history book series. They have a series that's based around these twins where they use these twins to tell stories of their life and explain really cool, like not only political, social, and moral, but also moral concepts. And so I've been working with them too. I feel like I'm getting off on a side tangent. Really all that to say was that I didn't leave the internet entirely. I just left YouTube, but we will circle back on YouTube now. I want to tell you what my plan is moving forward, because in my imagination, I am officially back on YouTube. And the reason I say in my imagination is because, guys, I'm like scared to make a commitment. I have plans and dreams and all these lofty goals. I have videos shot and some that are already uploaded and ready to go, some that are in my editing bay, if that's what we want to call it. But I am nervous because, like I told you guys, my first priority is to my kids and to my family. And even though YouTube in some ways is a part of that, because it is part of my like job that I choose to do, it's still like, it's hard to be a mom, guys. Kids take a lot of organization and energy and time. And I want to say that I'm going to be consistent, but I'm praying that you'll have grace with me. I know you guys will, because you have for the last 6 months, but I'm praying you'll have grace with me because I want this to happen. I want to be consistently uploading, and we'll just see how it goes. So you guys may need to like cheer me on every time I upload, like, good job, Nikki, you did it again. So here's the plan moving forward. I am planning for at least the next 10 weeks to be uploading twice a week. The reason I say 10 weeks is because once a week, I am planning on having it be like my normal lifestyle type content. It might be anything from like day in my life vlogs to cooking. I actually have 2 cooking videos coming up in the next few weeks. So it might be, you know, household stuff like that, routine videos. I am planning on hopefully sharing my morning routine, because I have really dialed in my morning routine in the last few months, because I realized I had to. I realized that if I didn't start getting specific on how I started my mornings, at least within the best of my ability, because I am not a 5 a.m. mom. I wish I was a 5 a.m. mom, but I'm not. So it has made it even more important for me to really like hone in on my morning routine. So videos like that, but I also might just do like talking videos, like talking lifestyle type videos or commentary. I feel like my channel is all over the map. Actually, if you guys watch Hopewell Heights, even though she's an actual homesteader and she has 5 kids, like it's a totally different life, I feel like our channels are kind of similar in the sense that like we are passionate about a lot of things and we make content on what we feel led to make content about. So once a week will be that type of video, and I'm thinking that those are going to be Mondays, because today should be Monday when this goes up. And then I'm going to upload my interview for my podcast series on Thursdays. So twice a week, you can expect to see me on YouTube. And if not, like I said, please give me grace. You know, I'll just say it again. My kids are only little once, you know? I absolutely love to create. It is a part of who I am. If you guys watch Mrs. Midwest here on YouTube, she was actually out here in Idaho visiting like a month or 2 ago. And we got to hang out for a couple of days. And one of the things that she said to me, I was like, Kate, literally exactly that. We were talking about my return to YouTube. And she was like, I feel like for you, creating YouTube videos or just creating in general is actually like a self-care act. And I was like, yo, it actually is. Like, I am a creator at heart. I have been creating forever, but I haven't quite dialed in, you know, like I said, the perfect routine. My kids are, and I don't know if I ever will, but you just ride with me. I feel like I haven't quite dialed it in. I'm trying. My kids are only little once. I'm not exactly the best at being consistent anyways, but I'm trying. I'm praying for it. I'm moving forward, and I'm really excited, guys. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm excited to be back. I feel like just inherently in my soul, I'm a YouTuber. Like, I love making YouTube videos. I love talking and connecting with you guys. And I love, you know, even this season, the fact that I'm getting to learn more skills around cooking and cleaning and taking care of my health and my body and my kids' minds and their souls and their education, which I'm kind of throwing things out of order, but you get the gist. It's such a blessing and it's so exciting. And I am praying that God continues to grow me in a way that I can not only better serve my family, but hopefully serve you guys as well. You know, my videos in a lot of ways, they feel kind of selfish, and they have for a while, because I like creating and I like making stuff. But I've really realized in the last couple of years that I need to and I want to get better at figuring, and now granted, some of this might be like a little self-criticism. We all do tend to be our own worst critic, but still I think this point is valid. I want to get better at figuring out how to also serve you guys, because I think that that's important. If I'm going to go out of my way to like create stuff and do all of this work, I want it to be valuable to you guys. So that is it. Now that I just blabbered for who knows how long, I just felt like this is how I needed to come back. Like, I not owed you guys an explanation, but kind of, because I kind of just like dipped out. And if you aren't anywhere else, you were probably like, oh, are you God? Someone just messaged me on Instagram yesterday and they've never messaged me before, which makes me think that they went out of their way to find me somewhere else. And they were like, dude, are you gone from YouTube forever? Like, what's going on? I'm like, I gotta explain. So there's a plane flying overhead. Also, I have to say this. I know that I said that like Mondays would be a lifestyle video, Thursday would be an interview. I actually take that back immediately because I'm just realizing I think my next video, I know that this is a Monday, but I think my next video is actually a food video, a budget meals and tips idea video. So I feel like that'll make some of you really excited. Just know that I'm aiming to be here Mondays and Thursdays, and hopefully we'll figure it out. We'll get into some kind of specific schedule, but that's the gist. So I'm gonna go now. I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope your families are thriving. And if you're in a tough season, ow, speaking of which, that just hurt. I have major mommy thumb right now. It's really unfortunate. I had to actually meet with my physical therapist the other day to start adding wrist exercises to my physical therapy routine because my wrists are so messed up. I slept last night for the first time with wrist guards, and it was actually amazing. Didn't expect that. Anyways, I hope you and your family are thriving. And if you're going through a tough season right now, I pray that the Lord is refining you and growing or that you feel his refinement. I know that he is refining you, but I pray that you feel him working on your heart and your mind and your soul as you move forward in your family's life and in your community, and that you can feel his peace and his presence, and that you trust his guidance in your life. I appreciate you guys, and I will, God willing, see you back here soon with another new video. I'm excited to be back. So yeah, all right, that's it. Bye guys.